the blockchain brings forward a real promise for change for society. It brings forward the promise to decentralize trust, to decentralize decision-making, and to decentralize power. It depends on what industry vertical we're talking about, but in general, I think that as governments, people, societies become more open to the idea of the promise of blockchain, we can actually start looking at a better society. In our context of cybersecurity, it is clear that the current solutions are not working. It is very easy to see on the news, on TV, and in other media that there are constant breaches that impact trust, credibility of institutions, and even people's lives directly, their savings and their jobs. In our environment, blockchain is a natural approach to create a highly hyper-resilient environment that actually allows society to come into a place that was never before possible, where actually trust, awareness, knowledge is distributed on a blockchain-based system that is cryptographically verifiable, agnostic and anonymous, protecting everybody else's freedoms, capabilities of doing their jobs, and systems that protect and support society, from the highly critical to government to institution. We need to change the way that we approach real-world problems. Blockchain technology enables us to actually approach real, fundamental problems in real life, in society, in trust environments, in government, that was never possible before. In an environment of where everybody actually needs to have trust in what they do in their normal lives, in their devices, in their phones, in their networks, in their companies, in their nation states. It is absolutely fundamental that we actually approach that problem from a decentralized perspective, from a peer-to-peer perspective, so that we can evolve as a species, as a society, to a more globalized environment that is fairer and more honest for everybody. I think there is a very good level of FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt around the blockchain environment. A good part of it is actually produced by a media environment that doesn't naturally understand the technology and that doesn't fundamentally understand its promise. I think people over time will come to realize that there is an alternative to our current way of doing things, and that, for me, is the most important thing. And we are on the way there, but we are still in pretty much an immature stage at the moment. In regards to blockchain, what is the most inspirational thing for me is actually the capacity that exists to fundamentally change the way that we deal with issues and that the way people work, to create trust where no trust exists, to generate environments that allow for balance where there was no balance before, either balance of power, balance of trust, or other kinds of balance. So this environment fundamentally changes the way that we live our lives. And regardless of the industry vertical we're talking about or the issue, it is clear to everybody that understands the technology that there is no going back to the traditional way of doing things. What we do at Naoris is that we have the first anonymous, agnostic, cooperative, democratic, cybersecurity-based blockchain environment ever. And we allow cybersecurity to actually mature to a point where people don't need to worry about single points of failure in cybersecurity, because right now for a company, a business, or an individual to be hacked and for their, for trust to disappear, the only thing that needs to happen is for a single device to be infiltrated. And what we do is we fundamentally change that approach and say, actually, because there is a blockchain backing this whole cybersecurity environment, and there is a distributed source of truth and trust, we say, for the attacker to attack a single device, now he needs to attack the whole blockchain and change that source of truth at the same time. The world needs an evolution in the way of thinking. The world needs in a word, a cultural revolution. And we are on that way. The internet has presented us our first level 1 civilization technology, which is basically a planetary telephonic system where there are no borders, and culture is being transformed over time. Blockchain actually allows us, for the first time, to build into that technology resilience, trustworthiness, and correctness in a verifiable manner, and also governance. And I am very positive that that is going to change, and it's going to fundamentally impact humanity in a positive way.